Good afternoon, everyone. I'll try and make this quick because I know everyone wants to go to the bar. Yeah, just a quick intro. I'm Raj, and I've been involved in digital media for the last 20-odd years, starting as a digital marketeer, and then over the last 8 years, I've been involved in retail media networks as such. The really exciting work. And I'm on my third retail media network, so having been involved in since 2016 when I entered this world, helped set up the first generation of what is today one of the UK's largest retail media network. So I do have a lot of experience on both the buy side as well as the sell side. And because I can put my marketer's hat on, I can also sort of look at the uniqueness that you can bring when building a new retail media network and vice versa as such. So that gives me like a unique perspective. So retailers, the new media moguls. I think for people who have been listening to all the sessions today, this might not look as a new surprise as such. But what we are seeing is that the advertising landscape is undergoing a seismic shift. And the epicenter is in your typical Madison Avenue or the global digital media platforms that we have today. But it's actually happening in the supermarket aisles. All the numbers that you've seen so far have really sort of evidence of that shift that's happening. Retailers have got vast amounts of customer data, and retailers with a vast amount of sort of customer data, the networks, sprawling networks of physical stores, and the arsenal of digital platforms that are growing by the day actually puts them in a really, really good position to emerge as the new media moguls as such. So today, what I'm going to do is explore how these new media moguls, these retail giants, are transforming into sort of media powerhouses, and how they're blurring sort of the lines between content and commerce, how they are changing, how brands interact with their customers and the shoppers and prospects, and what it means for you as a marketeer. So I'm sure you've seen a few more definitions this morning, so here's another one. But hopefully this is what digital retail media means. Advertising and marketing solutions retailers offer to their brands to target consumers at various touch points during the shopping journey, both within stores as well as their digital properties. So whatever channel comes up tomorrow, it still will be sort of part of retail media. And just a quick recap on some quick facts to put in context, sort of the retail media's velocity in reaching its scale today. Retail media has achieved in 5 years what search ads Google took 15 years to do. And so far, it has been the fastest advertising channel to reach $30 billion in global revenue. It's also rapidly shaping the advertising landscape. So retail media is on track, so we see all sorts of big numbers. Television, the way we see it, is on track. It's to be surpassed by retail media investments over the next year or two. Predictions sometimes can be a little bit dicey, but the trajectory is there, the velocity is there. So why is retail media important for brands? 4 key reasons. I've got 6 in there, but I'll highlight 4. 1, e-commerce growth. COVID and the pandemic saw a massive change in e-commerce habits as such. It was forced in that sense. And what it saw was a huge amount of traffic going to the website. And it was sort of a really great opportunity for a retailer to start harvesting that opportunity to actually sort of gain extra additional revenue from that traffic. And that's why you have seen a lot of growth in retail media networks. Every week that you would read the trade press, you'd see like some retailer is opening up another retail media network as such. The second key one was the impending crackdown on the use of cookies and identifiers. As users have got sort of, as the regulators have got a little bit more stringent and the rules around identifiers and how you can use data, which means that it positions the retailers in a fantastic opportunity because they have an amazing amount of first-party data, point-of-sale data, loyalty data, CRM, and they also have an opportunity to talk to the shoppers directly. So this puts them in a really, really strong position as such. And then for retailers, the ability to monetize all this at a very, very high margin. Retailers typically work on 2, 3 small, very, very tiny margins on the products that they sell in store. So suddenly to have a huge revenue stream from a new business that can work with, in excess of 50% margins, that is very, very difficult for a CFO to ignore. And what also sort of closes the loop is the ability for retailers to actually do the closed loop attribution for any investment that is made into retail media. There are very few players in the media ecosystem that can do this like the retailers can. And they can do this at such a massive scale that it's really, really robust enough. And this is really very helpful for typically the FMCG brands who don't really know their customers that well. So the retailers actually help them understand them better. So what is retail's advantage? I loved the co-op, Dean's sort of session earlier, when he really hit home the sizes of people. In COVID, we saw a lot of habits change, and a lot of people made predictions that people's shopping habits would change post-pandemic. But what we have seen is people still going back into stores in similar numbers. We've heard from Tesco, we heard Sainsbury's, we heard from the morning panel. Everyone kept saying that people are going back into store. But what we have also seen is that the new channels, digital channels that came into play during COVID actually got back onto a slightly higher level, and the trend is still going up. So what it means is that people have changed, but the ability to drive audiences, football-sized audiences, week in, week out, that the retailers have is unparalleled. So that is a huge unfair advantage that they have over sort of digital platforms. And as Lee earlier alluded to size is not everything. It's the value. It's not just the size, it's the scale that the audience the shoppers who go into store, but it's also the value that they transact when they are in store. Still, even today, 70 to 80% of revenue comes from people who shop in stores. Now, this is very, very important for FMCG brands, any brands essentially who work with retailers. Typically, you'll see any big brand, if you take any household name, 70 to 80% of their revenue will be coming from the top 2 or 3 retailers in pretty much any market, if you go across Europe as such. It's a little bit different in US, but US is slightly different. But you still see that. So it's a very, very critical position that the retailers hold. So what are retailers doing to build out their media empires? Because there's only so much marketing budgets that they will invest to drive people to their properties as such. So what we have seen is people are getting into bed with people we never thought they would do so. Increasingly in trade press, you see a lot of articles about saying, I wouldn't have guessed that, whether these two would partner with the retailer as such. But we are increasingly seeing that. And here's some 3 that I've sort of picked out here. The reason most of them, or the only reason that they get together, is audiences. It's the audiences that are very valuable to the brands who advertise and who want to reach those consumers and the shoppers and sort of communicate with them their brand messages as such. Retailers have a strong intent signal. Outside of Google, it was Google who actually had the strongest intent signals earlier of all the platforms in terms of any media player as such. That was the search keyword that you used to put in. But here, retailers have a unique advantage over someone like Google. They not just know the intent, but they know the how, why, and why sort of users are shopping the way they are shopping, why they are buying the way they are buying, and what sort of frequency they buy at. So, sort of to recap quickly, what does this mean and why should this matter to brands? What do these retailer partnerships really mean? 1, brand experience, the impact on brand experiences. Now it means that the brand experience is actually refined and defined by the retailer from the sofa to the show, to steal Tesco's sort of tagline, which is really encapsulate it all as such. The second one is omnichannel. Omnichannel has been talked about for ages, but it's actually post-pandemic, we are seeing omnichannel be delivered literally day in, day out. We've seen talk after talk today about how omnichannel is playing a key role in how their retail media networks are growing and how they're sort of trying to go to the upper funnel as such. The retail media networks trying to do their best. And partnerships. Like I said, brands need to work really closely with the retailers, because if they are if the retailers is selling 30, 40, 50% of your revenue, then you need to really work closely with them. Regardless of the sophistication of the retail media network that they have, the targeting, the measurement, it might be very simple, just some simple in-store opportunities. You need to still work with them because they're still driving the core bulk of your revenue as such. So to recap, retail is changing, and it's changing really, really fast. And why is it changing? Because they have the first-party data, which enables them to target these audiences. They have these audiences, they have got massive sizes, they have got the first-party data from point of sale, loyalty programs, and they can target them for the brands. They have the relationships with the shopper, and increasingly, they are increasing sort of the number of touch points that they sort of connect with the shoppers. So as we've seen in the omni-channel world, the number of touch points are increasing. So the retailers are getting to understand the shoppers better. Why do they shop in store? And whys and hows of how they do it. And lastly, they can close that loop. They can measure the effectiveness of any investment that you make. They can measure it in a way about how effective the advertisement was, the ads were, and then actually help you with insights into the shopping behavior that drove those effectiveness to actually either maximize it or sort of be a bit more efficient with that media investment, so to say. So that essentially is why I think retailers are poised. Sorry, is it? There you go. So retailers are poised to become the new powerhouses, the media powerhouses, and there is no stopping them. So I think it's increasingly important for brands to connect and sort of interact and work really closely, regardless of the silos or the org structure, as Katrina and sort of we saw in the earlier panel, where the structure is different, whether it's brand money, trade budgets, no matter what, work as collaboratively as you can and sort of try and make the best of it. Thank you.